Okay, we've been talking a lot about spin selling and asking questions in sales, but this video, I want to take a step back and focus more on the psychology of the customer buying experience and how questions play a part in that. Most importantly, we're going to look at why questions actually help you reduce resistance and start to eliminate objections before they happen, which is the opposite of old school sales training, which always focuses on how to handle objections. So let's get going. This section is all about thinking about how your customer thinks. Now, if I look at some of these books that we have, from Pitch Anything, of course, Spin Selling, Insight Selling, Ultimate Sales Machine, Science of Influence, of course, the old Joe Girard books, Psycho-Cybernetics, and I've got stacks and stacks of books in here. I've been training on this topic for many, many years, and questions really are the lifeblood of selling. And a lot of people do it wrong. You don't want to bring your customer in and interrogate them. And the way that we're going to be talking about this today is I want you to think in terms of what it feels like as a customer and what you want to be able to create for your customers to better serve them through the use of questions. So let's go. Let's talk about this. I want you to think about, as a customer, as a salesperson, it is not all about you, okay? It's not about your elevator pitch. It's not about how much product knowledge you have. It's not about your cool slide deck. I mean, yeah, my slides are great, but I would never use these with a customer. Not how you dress. It's not your guru status. I see a lot of people trying to, be somebody and be all over the place and look at how important I am and talk about the, like what they're doing, not about how they're impacting the lives of their customers. It's not about your website. It's not about your point of sale materials and everything else that you're doing that's trying to get somebody to go, wow, look at how smart you are, because nobody cares. Okay. They care about one thing. And they care about their problems. And the reason we're talking about this section, we're talking about this in this section, is that often we start to build our messaging, we build our emails, we build all these templates, we build our contact strategy, our sales scripts, all around what makes us awesome, not about what they're dealing with. And if you can't get your message to resonate with your customer and their specific problem, they're not going to want to listen much further, okay? So there's two pivots in a sales conversation typically. Is we miss an opportunity to ask the best question that makes them think, or we share the wrong information, or we share maybe good information, but at the wrong time. So we have to think about, in our messaging, in our videos, in our social media, in our sales calls, are we doing these two things? Okay. And this is a great, a stat. I've been using this for a while, but it's always illustrated to me what's important. When we think about what makes customers loyal and what gets them excited, it's not the brand, it's not the value, it's not the product. It's most of the time the experience of buying that product, right? And we're talking specifically in more of a complex sale. Okay, so if you're just buying stuff on Amazon, this isn't really why you'd be watching this video, but you are trying to say, how do I help my customer move towards doing more business with me? This is what matters. And if we think about the purchasing experience, okay, this is what I want you to think. If you're building a contact strategy, if you're building a sales script, you're building this conversation roadmap we're going to be talking about, you're mapping out your brand, do you offer valuable perspectives? Can you help them see stuff that they might not know? Do you help them navigate alternatives? Or are you just saying, buy this one thing? Do they know much about what else you do? Are you able to help them see things that they don't see by offering advice or consultation? So if you have, say, a course, if you're an event planning business, if you're a financial planner, if you are a consultant, a freelancer, a tax preparation, an accountant, whatever your thing is, if you're just offering this service to solve today's problem, you're not really providing the ultimate experience for them because of your advice and consultation. Can you help show them what the landmines are, show them on new possible opportunities, some issues, some outcomes. And, are you easy to buy from? And do you have acceptance across the organization? So this is part of when you're thinking about how to build, we're going to be talking about questions, but how you're going to be building your content, how you build your branding, how you set up video, social media. Are you somebody that everybody goes, wow, this is pretty cool. They're helping me see stuff that we don't see, okay? And the reason we're talking about that is we're going to dive into a bit of psychology, okay? The brain, I guess up here, right? It's in there. Your brain, there's 3 parts to it, okay? And this is called the triune brain. We have the reptilian. That's for survival. This is fight or flight. This is what our instincts are built on. We have the limbic system. This one is all about emotions. This is where the basal ganglia is and the seat of how we make associative context with our clients. We have stories and memories and, how we feel about things. And then we've got our neocortex. The neocortex is all about logic and thinking, and this is about rationalization. This is about numbers and spreadsheets. But what I see people doing is they go into all of this saying, and kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to beat you over the head with knowledge and facts and numbers and things that make you go, not necessarily, but make you go, okay, what does this mean? If we can make them start to feel something, we can tap into emotions. And that's what we're going to be getting to when we get to the part when we talk about offer. We want to think about how what we're doing taps more into the limbic system, because the way the brain is actually functioning is our reptilian brain is also kind of like a gatekeeper. Think about the gatekeeper at a business. The gatekeeper says, is this dangerous to me? Yes or no. If it's dangerous, we pay attention. If not, the reptilian brain doesn't care. Is this something that I should pay attention to? Is this something that excites me just on a visceral level? Oh, okay, now what does that mean? Now, how does it make me feel? How do we associate this to things we've had? How is it connected to my story? How does it make me go, oh, that's exciting. So now I'm actually paying attention. That's the limbic system. If the reptilian brain and the limbic system all work together and they go, hey, this is something I need to pay attention to because I feel something about it, now they're open to saying, hey, neocortex, what do you think about this? So if you think about your brain, almost like if you're selling to a company, those are the 3 people involved. So you have to get through that gatekeeper to be able to get to the person that's excited so you can get to the decision maker, which is going to be the neocortex eventually. So people will always buy based on emotion or rationalize with logic. And that's how the brain works. And the reason we're talking about this is that we want to frame our questions. We want to build our insights. We want to talk about our business and the way we put videos and things together so that we're tapping into these systems in our customer. Now, this doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. This just has to be something that you fundamentally understand before you start creating things. Because the more you apply this, the easier all this stuff's going to be. Now, if you think about this stuff, everybody in any kind of sales training has heard of these 3 things: probing, handling objections, and closing. Now, do you know when this was invented? This was invented by a guy named E.K. Strong in like 1924. He was also the one that developed the ADA method that we've probably talked about. When we think about old school sales methodologies, this works really good for small transactional selling, right? But if we're doing more complex sale where we need to have a bit more of a relationship and get people to buy higher ticket, then probing, where we're digging into people's problems and making them feel interrogated, doesn't work. Handling objections is a really tough one. And closing, when you're doing it that way, you're really pushing against that reptilian system, especially now because people are aware of how sales techniques work. And if you are handling objections, 9 times out of 10, you're too late. Okay, so what we want to use questions for is to reduce resistance. And when we go through and build our questions and build our conversations, the whole thing is structured around making people go, okay, because this is my problem, but they've already negated that problem. So they don't have to vocalize an objection. When people vocalize objections, they're going to most likely psychologically hold true to that, even if we change their mind. So we're trying to resist them from vocalizing an objection. So we can do this quickly, right? There's 2 types of resistance that we got to focus on, right? One is our knee-jerk reaction. It's called reactance, okay? This is our body's natural thing to say, not interested. So we have to know that that's going to happen. So we need to say, if we get on a phone call and they haven't heard of you, they don't want to talk to you. So the reaction is going to be like, no, thank you. So we got to disrupt that mental pattern. The second type is called anticipated future regret. And there's two ways that that happens. One is to say, if I do this, I'm going to regret it. And two, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. So what we're trying to do here is keep that knee-jerk reaction at bay so that we can start to get them to start thinking about what the future looks like. So we create this sales moment in time where they go, wait a minute. If I don't do this, what else am I going to do? So by building this into our thought process and putting this into our brain, that's how we're going to create our branding, our customer information, our offers, our questions, so that we can move people from, I don't think I should do this, to why would I not do this? This is such an opportunity. Let's get to work. I hope that makes sense, right? Now, the biggest thing, and especially right now in these times, is objection prevention is much better than a cure. So having an objection not pop up at all is exactly what we're going for. Okay, so now that you understand sort of the fundamentals, the power of questions, I want you to go and apply them. And the way you should apply this is I want you to go in and create maybe one or two questions that you are going to ask your customers. And I want you to then use those questions to open up a dialogue. Don't prepare 100 questions that you need to get through, but instead use the bids that we talked about in previous videos. Pay attention to what your customer's saying. Find opportunities to dig deeper, and by digging deeper and focusing on them and what they're dealing with, you start to create collaborative conversations that help move them towards a buying decision versus you having to do a hard sell. So I hope that helps. In the comments below, try and write down some of the questions that you've tried, whether they worked, whether they didn't, and I want you to remember to subscribe and like these videos, so subscribe to the channel, because we're gonna be doing a lot more like this and I don't want you to miss it. So see you soon. Hey, this is Joe Girard with Change Your Own Chief. Thanks for checking this out. Remember to subscribe and check out some of the other videos and resources we have. You know, as a sales coach, I spend a lot of my time just helping people be less weird and more human with their customers. If we can help you and your high-performing team, reach out to us, let us know, and let's connect soon.